What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 70. We have Nikita Krylov going against Ryan Spann.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back breaking down another card here this week, breaking down UFC Vegas 70. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun card. I think it's going to be a lot more fun than last week's card was. I see a lot of finishes. Kind of a tricky DraftKings slate just because I feel like a lot of these fights are very close. A lot of these fights are going to finish. We're going to get a lot of big scores. So what I'm going to kind of do this week is just attack the fights that I think are going to score very, very well and kind of leave out the fights that I see either going to decision, not a ton going on. So we're going to talk about all that. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have not already, that is much, much appreciated. Check out dfsbythenumbers.com if you are not already on there. Lots of stuff going on over there. And yeah, guys, going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and then Saturday, 1 hour prior to the prelims for best bet. So make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you do turn on the post notification bell so you don't miss out on all of those. But I say we get into it, and let us start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. These are going to be the fights we want to target heavily this week. We got Nikita Krylov, Ryan Spann, minus 700. Fight doesn't go to decision, and I'd be fairly shocked if this fight went the distance. I'd be fairly shocked if this fight got extended in any type of way with the way these guys fight. I mean, both guys can finish. Both guys can be finished. Both guys can win by knockout. Both guys can win by submission. So I think this is a fight that is absolutely must target. This is going to be my most targeted fight on the entire slate. I'm going to have quite a bit of both guys. You got Nikita Krylov there at 8,700. You got Ryan Spann at 7,500. He is going to be my highest owned dog there at that price tag. But yeah, I think somebody gets finished here. Whether it's Nikita Krylov going out there, landing a big shot, knocking out Ryan Spann, who's been knocked out like 3 times, and maybe getting a TKO on the mat, maybe getting a submission on the mat. I think Nikita Krylov, if he wins this fight, I think it's going to be inside the distance and early as well. If Ryan Spann wins this fight, I think it's probably going to be in the first round. Ryan Spann has a lot of power early. He has a dangerous submission game as well. I think both these guys are live to finish early. I'm going to be very heavily exposed to this fight in the main event. Next, we have Trevor Peek going against the Ghost Pepper Eric Gonzalez. Man, this fight is going to be an absolute car crash. This guy, both guys really, both guys just fight like complete madmen, especially Trevor Peek, though. He's going to go in there, no regards to any striking defense whatsoever. He's going to stand and bang, and honestly, Eric Gonzalez is kind of the same thing. He's going to go in there and stand and bang with him. So I think somebody probably, again, just like the last fight, somebody probably gets finished here. Somebody probably gets finished very early on as well. You get the minus 400 fight doesn't go decision. Another fight that I think finishes early, and I think finishes probably under 1.5 rounds. So another fight that I think is very, very important to target. I think Peek is going to be very high owned this week. Lots of hype on the guy. I think people are counting out Eric Gonzalez a little bit. But yeah, at 7,300, I don't think Eric Gonzalez is the worst pump play in the world down there, but I am more so leading on the Trevor Peek side myself as well with everybody else. Then we got Mike Malott going against Johan Lioness, another fight that I think should be targeted. Mike Malott has been out of the first round once. The last time he was out of the first round was back in 2015. Mike Malott is very dangerous everywhere. He has a lot of power on the feet, a very good submission game. If this fight hits the mat, he's going to submit Johan Lioness. Lioness, he has a ton of power in his hands as well. Again, I think somebody gets finished here and gets finished here pretty early. So these first 3 fights, I think they all finish pretty early, and I think the winner scores very well. So it's another fight I'm going to be very heavily exposed to. I do lean the Mike Malott side at 9,200, but I do have some concerns about that striking defense. He goes out there, he gets hit hard, and Johan Lioness, he does one thing well, and one thing only, really, and that's he hits hard. So another fight that you should be targeting on both sides. All right, next we have Andre Muniz going against Brennan Allen. We have I'll say a striker versus grappler matchup. I know Brennan Allen's a black belt, but he's going to want to keep this on the feet. If Allen's able to keep this on the feet, extend the fight a little bit, I think he definitely has a path to win here. Allen is going to be the better striker. Muniz has been knocked out 4 times, so, but Andre Muniz, he's been working on that wrestling. It's looking better than ever as of late. Andre Muniz is an incredible grappler. I kind of lean towards Andre Muniz getting the first round submission, and if he does, it's going to score very well. But if this fight does get extended, I do think Brennan Allen's going to have a shot here. So I know a lot of people are on Brennan Allen this week, and at 7,100, I don't think is the worst pump play. So these 4 fights, I think, are 4 borderline must-target fights, especially those first 3. I'm going to be very heavily exposed on these 4. Okay, let's get into our core plays here. We have Tatiana Suarez, 9,600. And yeah, it's the return of Tatiana Suarez. And if she shows up and looks anything like she did, 4 years ago against like Carla Esparza, she should go out there and put up 150 points like against Montana De La Rosa. Like, she should go out there, take down De La Rosa consistently multiple times, and eventually get a finish if she shows up and looks anything like she did a couple years ago. Of course, there's a long layoff, there's injuries, a lot of question marks with Suarez, but I'm going to take the upside here with Suarez. I think we are going to get a good version of Suarez, and if she does show up ready to go, I mean, she should put up a massive score here. I think she has the highest ceiling on the slate. 9,600, it's expensive, but I think she can put up a massive score here and a win. All right, next we got Jordan Levitt, 8,000. Never thought I'd have Jordan Levitt on my core plays, but here we are. Jordan Levitt, really good grappler. And if he does get this fight down to the mat, he's going to have opportunities to get a submission, and probably early as well. Victor Martinez, I like the striking from Martinez. I like the volume, the power, but Victor Martinez's takedown defense is not good. He's taken down in pretty much every single fight I saw. And on top of that, he's making bad mistakes on the mat. He's giving up his back nonstop. I've seen him give up his back like in every single fight I saw. So if he gives up his back to Jordan Levitt, I mean, it's going to be game over. So I think Levitt's going to have multiple opportunities here to get the finish. I like him at 8,000 this week. Trevor Peek, 8,900. We talked about it a little bit. This guy's a wild man. He's going to go out there and he's going to search for that 60-second bonus. He's going to search for that first round knockout. Striking defense is atrocious, but he's going to go out there and look to take your head off. Eric Gonzalez has been knocked out before in the UFC by Jim Miller, and Trevor Peek's a guy that, I mean, this guy's a high ceiling. He has a 60-second ceiling here. I mean, he can go out there and finish Eric Gonzalez early on in that first round. So I do like Trevor Peek. It's hard to be extremely confident in the guy just because he does have a lot of holes in his game, but one thing he does have is power, finishing ability, and just a will to win. So I like Trevor Peek at 8,900. All right, next we have Nurullo Aliyev, 8,800. He's making his debut here. Another fight that probably should be targeted this week, honestly. He's going against Rafael Alves, who is extremely dangerous, and I see this fight playing out one of two ways, and I think both these ways score well. So the first way I see this playing out, the most likely way, is going to be Nurullo Aliyev going out there, consistently getting takedowns, getting control time, landing strikes on the mat, potentially getting a late finish against Rafael Alves. The other way I can see this playing out is probably an Alves first round finish. So we'll talk about Alves in a little bit, but yeah, I more so lean towards Aliyev being able to get the takedowns, having the better cardio. Alves does slow down as the fight goes on. Alves has been finished like 9 or 10 times as well. So I think if Aliyev's able to kind of survive that first round, get this extended a little bit, I think it's a very winnable fight for him, but he's going to have to weather an absolute storm early on. Getting into our GPP plays here, our tournament plays. Andre Muniz, 9,100. We talked about it a little bit. This guy's submission game is just on another level. I know Brennan Allen's a black belt, but if Muniz is able to get this fight down to the mat, he's going to have opportunities to find that first round submission. The cardio is concerning. The chin is concerning. But like I said, if he wins, I think it's early on. I guess he can potentially win a decision. He did win a decision in his last fight against Uriah Hall. Maybe that's on the table, but I more so lean if Muniz does win this fight, I think it's an early sub. And for that reason, I will be targeting him this week. Nikita Krylov, 8,700. Got to have some Krylov. Absolutely. This guy goes out there, and he's wild. He's very wild early. He has a solid chin. Ryan Spann does not have a solid chin at all. And I think that Krylov is going to be the minute winner here. I think he's going to be able to get takedowns whenever he wants. The problem with Krylov is he's going to have to watch his neck. Nikita Krylov has been submitted like 6 times, 4 of which coming in the UFC. So if Krylov can watch out for that submission, watch out for that power of Ryan Spann, yeah, he should be able to win this fight, but I think somebody's getting served here and getting served early. I'm not going to go crazy on Krylov. I think my exposure is going to be split pretty evenly there. All right. Mike Malott, 9,200. We talked about him a little bit in the Lioness fight. Mike Malott, this guy has 8 wins, 8 first-round finishes. Mike Malott is a must-target this week. I have concerns about Mike Malott. I have concerns about what happens if this fight gets extended. I know Lioness does not have the best cardio, but we've not seen Mike Malott in a second round in a very, very long time. I have concerns about the striking defense of Mike Malott. So it's another one where you can't be extremely confident, but what I am confident in is this fight finishing and the winner putting up a big score. So I do like some Mike Malott. I'll have some for sure at 9,200. I think if he wins, it's probably in the first round. Garrett Armfield, 8,500. Another fight that I like to target. This week I'm going to key in on a lot of these fights that I think are going to score very well. And this is another one of them. The Garrett Armfield, Jose Johnson one. So I do lean towards the Jose Johnson side, But if Armfield is to win this fight, like, he has a massive ceiling. Armfield's ceiling here is going out there and landing a ton of takedowns. Jose Johnson, although dangerous, has the worst takedown defense I've ever seen in my life. And he's able to get back up, which is only going to lead to more takedowns for Armfield. So if Armfield comes in here and has the right game plan and the game plan of getting the fight down to the mat, and if he wins this fight, I think Armfield can put up a massive, massive score. Like I said, I'm personally on the other side of this matchup, but I can't ignore the upside that Armfield brings to the table. He's a finisher as well, finished all but one of his wins, and Jose Johnson's a killer-be-killed fighter. He's been finished multiple times in his career. Moving on to the live dogs, there's a lot this week. Like, I'll name off a couple more after these four, but I'm going to have a ton of these four right here. Ryan Spann, 7,500, knockout upside in the first round. Submission upside in the first round. If this leaves the first round, it's going to be a problem. But I like that upside that Spann brings. Like, he's very dangerous. Krylov's been finished a ton, mostly by sub. And Krylov, when he does shoot in, he does leave his neck out. And I can definitely see a Ryan Spann submission in the first round. Like I said, if it gets extended in any type of way, there would be massive concerns. But I'm searching for that first round upside that Ryan Spann brings. Jose Johnson, 7,700. I like Johnson here as a dog. Going against Garrett Armfield. Johnson is just so dangerous, like, everywhere the fight goes. He's very long, very rangy. He's 6 foot in the bantamweight division. He has a ton of power. This guy has a ton of power for the division. I think he can knock out Armfield here. I think he could submit Armfield. Armfield's been knocked out. Actually, he's been submitted, I think, 2 or 3 times in his career. He got submitted against David Onama. Yeah, he's been submitted twice, so he can definitely be submitted, and it wouldn't shock me if Jose Johnson got that submission. So another fight where I think if Armfield wins, it's a fight where he's able to mix in takedowns, put up a big score, and I think if Jose Johnson wins, it's where he finishes the fight and puts up a big score. There's a dog. I more so lean the Johnson side. I'll have more Johnson in this matchup at that price tag, and he is one of my favorite dogs this week. Rafael Alves, 7,400. Yeah, I don't mind some shots on Alves here because Alves, like Ryan Spann, if Alves wins this fight, it's going to be in the first round. Alves has very poor cardio, but what he does have is he's extremely explosive. He has a really good submission game, just a ton of power on the feet. And, you know, this guy, Aliev, coming in here, he's not really proven. He's not really fought anybody. So Alves is going to have opportunities early on to find that finish, and for that reason, I'll have some shares of him. Ode Osborne, 7,200. Yeah, I'm not going to have a ton of Charles Johnson. This line is actually closing up quite a bit. So for that reason, I think it's going to be a close fight. And for that reason, at 7,200 for Ode Osborne, I don't mind some shots on him. Like, Ode Osborne has probably most of the finish upside, at least early on in this matchup. Ode Osborne's a very good finisher, whereas Charles Johnson kind of takes a while to get going. I know he finished Jimmy Flick in his last matchup early, but that's kind of Jimmy Flick there. I think Osborne, if he wins this fight, it's, again, probably early, probably inside the distance. The only problem is Charles Johnson's very hard to finish, but even if this fight goes to decision, which that's kind of how I lean, I still think it's going to be a competitive fight here. So at 7,200, we have Ode Osborne at like plus 130. I think we're getting a lot of value there with Ode Osborne this week. A couple other dogs I wanted to mention. We talked about... Did we talk about... Yeah, I think Eric Gonzalez as a live dog is definitely in play. I think Eric Gonzalez was the other one I was looking at here. Yeah, Eric Gonzalez. Yeah, I think that's about it. And then we'll get to our pump plays, which I do have 2 here. Johan Lioness, 7,000. The guy's a great pump play this week. Going against Malat in a fight that I think finishes probably in the first round. He has power. A lot of power. And if Mike Malat goes out there and stands with him, which that's what's going to happen, like, Lioness is going to have opportunities to find that finish. So I don't mind some shots on Lioness. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but at 7,000, if he wins, it's probably a first-round KO. Brennan Allen, 7,100. Not a fan of Brennan Allen as well, but I think he has paths to win here. I think he is going to be somewhat popular at this price tag, but, you know, he's going to be the better striker. If there's a knockout in this fight, it's coming from him. When he's been knocked out 4 times, he's just going to have to kind of weather that early storm. And if he does get taken down, he's going to have to mind his P's and Q's on the mat. I think he gets finished in the first round, but if this fight does get extended, we've seen Muniz gas out before. And, you know, Allen should have the better gas tank here. So if this gets extended, I think it's going to get pretty interesting. So for that reason, I'll have some Brennan Allen at 7,100. Fades Haley Cowan, 8,600. I think there's much better fights to target, especially, you know, 8,600 for Cowan in a fight that I think's going to be close. That's going to go either way. Just a pretty easy pass for me. And if she does win, I think it's like some type of split decision where not much happens. A lot of clinching, maybe a takedown here or there from either side. It's a pass fight for me. But we did it. Kind of a tough slate, but like I said, I want to key in on some of these matchups I think are going to score well, kind of get rid of the ones I think won't score well, and kind of go from there. But yeah, a lot of these fights are close. A lot of these fights can go either way. I think there's going to be a lot of finishes, so it should be an interesting slate. But yeah, it's not the easiest slate in the world, I'd say. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys can leave a like, subscribe to the channel, check me out on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. Do appreciate all that support. Week in and week out. Check out dfsbythenumbers.com for some extra content. Got the optimizer, the targets, the rankings, just a ton of content on there, dfsbythenumbers.com. Everything is pretty much out for this week. Just finished up building my lineup, so I'm hoping all these fights stay on the card, but you never know. But yeah, guys, best of luck for UFC Vegas 70. Should be a fun card, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.